إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله والذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. وبعد، قال الله سبحانه وتعالى: فخرج على قومه في زينته قال الذين يريدون الحياة الدنيا يا ليت لنا مثل ما أوتي قارون إنه لذو حظ عظيم. وقال الذين أوتوا العلم والإيمان ويلكم ثواب الله خير لمن آمن وعمل صالحا. وقال سبحانه وتعالى: يا قوم إنما هذه الحياة الدنيا متاع وإن الآخرة هي دار القرار. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: ما الدنيا في الآخرة إلا كما يجعل أحدكم إصبعه في اليم فلينظر بماذا يرجع. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: لو كانت الدنيا تعدل عند الله جناح بعوضة ما سقى كافرا منها شربة ماء. عباد الله، إخوان المسلمين, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is relating to us a qissah of a very powerful man by the name of Qarun, and he was a minister in the government of Fir'aun, and he was extremely wealthy. He was so wealthy that just the keys to open the different doors, had to be carted along with several carriages. Just the keys to open the various storerooms of gold and jewelry and all his wealth that was stored in different treasure houses. Just the keys, was so heavy that they had to be carted around. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about this person. فَخَرَجَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ فِي زِينَتِهِ. So this Qarun makes his appearance in front of his people, and they were impressed. They were impressed with his wealth. قال الذين يريدون الحياة الدنيا. The people of his people, some of them who preferred the life of this dunya, they made the remark: يا ليت لنا مثل ما أوتي قارون. If only we had what was given to him. So they were quite impressed with this man, because their standard was material wealth of this life. So they were impressed, and their desires was that they want to emulate this guy. If he's got, a brand new car with mag wheels and he's got all the wealth, I want to imitate him. إِنَّهُ لَذُو حَظٍّ عَظِيمٍ. Because Allah has granted him, this man has got a great portion of wealth. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ وَالْإِيمَانَ وَيْلَكُمْ ثَوَابُ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ لِمَنْ آمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. And the people who were granted knowledge and who had iman, they said, وَيْلَكُمْ, woe unto you, and azab should come upon you, because the thawab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the reward that lies with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is better for people of iman and amil salihan, and people who work righteous deeds. So we as Muslims, we as believers, we have a different standard. And if we apply the standard, we will be able to handle the kind of economic exploitation that we live in today. We'll be able to handle it much better than the kafir. will be able to guide them, will be able to speak words of confidence in them. Because when things go up and your wages remain the same, if people don't have iman, what happens? They abuse their wives, they abuse their children, there's more friction in the house, they can't handle the situation, they commit suicide, they can't handle the situation. If they're in charge of a company, they abuse their workers. So maybe they ask them to work till late, but they don't pay them overtime. So there's plenty of ways of abuse, of economic abuse, because people who have a standard that this is what I want for myself. So when the petrol price goes up, they still want the same profits. So they're not going to budge on those profit margins. So now they abuse their workers, they ill-treat their workers, man ill-treats his family, or he has less time for ibadah because he must still chase the same profit margins. So, but people of Iman, their standard is different. The standard is Allah's thawab. That is what we want. Nabi Muhammad sallallahu just before we come to the hadith, there was a person of the household of Fir'aun. In fact, some of the Mufassirin says that he was one of the future rulers of Egypt. And he is the person mentioned in Surah Mu'min. He says, Ya qawmi, innama hadihi al-hayatu dunya mata'. He says, oh my people, this dunya, this life of this dunya is only for an enjoyment for a short period. Wa innal akhirah hiya darul qarar. And the next life, that is the everlasting life. Now, for that kind of words to come from a man who lived in wealth, Fir'aun had all the gold of the world, they had all the jewelry, and this man would make this statement. He was a family of Fir'aun, and he would say to his people, this life is very short. The next life, that is what really matters. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went to great length to drive home this concept to the believers, because it will influence the way you make your ibadah. It will influence the kind of time that you set aside for ibadah if you have this kind of world view. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, and I want to use several examples that Rasulullah used. He said, Mal dunya fil akhirah. What is the comparison of this life to the akhirah? Illa kama yaj'alu ahadukum isba'ahu fil yam. Is like a person, he put his finger into the ocean. فَلْيَنْظُرْ بِمَاذَا يَرْجِعُ. How much water will he return with? How much water will he be able to extract from the ocean? What a beautiful example. Because especially for us living here at the coast, we can picture this. We only see the mass of water in front of us. But the majority of the earth is made up of water. If we think of a billion kilograms of water, to really know the mass of water that exists on this dunya, we have to multiply that by another billion. Not add a billion to it and get 2 billion. We have to multiply 1 billion kilograms of water and multiply it by another billion. And what Rasulullah is pointing out is that this life, in comparison to the next life, is like that one drop of water that you extract. One drop of water. And what remains is billions upon billions of water. That is this life compared to the akhirah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used several examples. The second example that Rasulullah used of the many, he says, لو كانت الدنيا تعدل عند الله جناح بعوضة. If this dunya was worth the wing of a mosquito, if it was worth the wing of a mosquito, ما سقى كافرا منها شربة ماء. Allah would not even give the kafir a drop of water. The fact that the kafir, some of them have their own private planes, some of their own islands that they own, that's their private property. Some kafir have so much money, it is more than the annual income of some poor countries. So Allah Ta'ala says, if this dunya was worth something, the kafir would not be given a drop of water. So whenever you see a kafir drives around, and boasts about his riches, the guys that own Google, they make huge amounts of money. But that is just proof for us as believers. This should be our attitude. Not, I would like to have that same kind of money. Our attitude should be that is proof that this dunya is worth nothing. Because if the dunya was worth something, and these people say Allah Ta'ala is three, or some of these people say they believe in a cow to be their creator, Allah would never have given them a drop of water. So the fact that they have so much is proof for us that this dunya is worth nothing. Another example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he walked past with his Sahaba, and they came into the souk, and some people were busy burying a goat, a dead goat. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, أيكم يحب أن يكون هذا له بدرهم? Is there any one of you that would like to buy this dead goat for a silver coin? And nobody was interested. And then the Prophet says, sallallahu أتحبون أنه لكم? Would you like this for free? A dead goat. Would you like this for free? You don't have to spend a silver coin. Would you like this for free? And obviously they said no. So the Prophet ﷺ said, فَوَاللَّهِ لِلدُّنْيَا أَهْوَنُ عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنْ هَذَا عَلَيْكُمْ. That the dunya has got less value in the sight of Allah than this dead goat in your eyes. So these are vivid examples, things that we can see around us. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, again, we must take ourselves to the context of the desert, where there's nothing that grows in the desert. So people, travel for days and miles on in without seeing any vegetation. The Prophet says, "Mali wa dunya innama mathali wa mathalu dunya karakib qala fi dhilli shajaratin." He says that the similitude of myself with this dunya, the connection that Rasulullah have with this dunya, is like a person that travels through the desert. He travels, and eventually he reaches a tree, and he takes a rest, and ثُمَّ رَاحَ عَنْهَا وَتَرَكَهَا. And then after he's taken a short nap, he gets onto his camel, onto his horse again, and he continues with his journey. This is the dunya. This is the dunya in comparison to the hereafter. The Jamaatul Muslimin, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as I've said, used so many examples, and we would like to do the same today, so that at least one of the examples should strike a chord in our hearts. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came home one day, and Sayyidina Aisha said that some people brought some meat, and I left for you the leg of lamb. And Rasulullah wanted to point out to the Ummah that this is not the way we think. The Rasulullah said, what did you give away? He says, you gave everything away, and she left behind the leg of lamb, because she knew this was the favorite part of the sheep that Rasulullah was interested in. And Rasulullah said to her, no, what you have actually left behind is everything of the sheep except the leg of lamb. Because whatever you've given away to other people, that is for us in the next life. So you didn't keep behind the leg of lamb, you kept behind the rest of the sheep. Because the focus should be the next life. The focus should be what is our everlasting life. So she kept behind the rest of the sheep. What she gave away was actually, in reality, if we look at it spiritually, this is what she kept behind. So Jama'at, in other hadith that I did not have the time to take down the Arabic, the Prophet ﷺ indicates that if people eat, they see all the beautiful food on the table, and the similitude of this dunya, the worth of this dunya is, after a while they have to go to the toilet. That same food, see what is left of it. This is the dunya. It is worth very little. Again, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he says to his ummah, he says, "Unduru ila man huwa asfala minkum." He's guiding this ummah in a certain direction. He says, look at those who are less fortunate than you. وَلَا تَنْظُرُوا إِلَى مَنْ هُوَ فَوْقَكُمْ. Don't look at the people who have more than you. It's going to cause you to be frustrated. You're not going to enjoy life. Because you think, I'm living in a 2-room, 2-bedroom house. But that guy got 4 bedrooms. That guy got a swimming pool. That guy went from Makkah to Hajj, 3-4 times. I only went once. So look at, be contented with what you have. Look at the people who don't have. You're traveling with maybe a mini car, but other people have to take that overcrowded trains every single day of their lives. They risk their life getting into a train in the morning. So Allah Ta'ala, Rasulullah guides us, look at those who are less fortunate. And just to again give us some more examples of Rasulullah's practice, he says, لَوْ كَانَ لِي مِثْلَ أُحُدْ ذَهَبًا. If the whole mountain of Uhud was turned into gold, لَسَرَّنِي أَلَّا تَمُرُّ ثَلَاثَ لَيَالٍ وَعِنْدِي مِنْهُ شَيْءٍ إِلَّا شَيْءٌ لِدَيْنٍ. Says, I would not be happy if 3 days goes by and I would still have that money in my house. So in the space of 3 days you would disseminate all that gold, even if it's the equivalent of Jabal Uhud. What is Rasulullah giving the Sahaba? What is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam giving this ummah? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is giving this ummah a fikr, an idea, a goal. It gives them a manhaj. What is the kind of pattern of life that I would like to follow? And the Sahaba, ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'een, they took note of these examples. They implemented it in their lives. There was a person by the name of Abu Ubaidullah ibn Jarrah. The Roman general came to him in Sham. He was the ruler there in the time of Umar ibn Khattab. And he was surprised to see this man sitting on the floor. He says, why don't you get a throne to sit on? And the man said, he said to him in confidence, he says, to tell you the truth, I don't have enough money to buy me a throne. This is the ruler of Sham. Because they serve the people. They didn't see their position as a politician to accumulate wealth for themselves. So he said, I don't have enough money. But if I do have enough money, I would not deviate from this pattern of life. Because he says, نَحْنُ عِبَادُ اللَّهِ. We are the servants of Allah. نَمْشِي عَلَى الْأَرْضِ. We will walk on this earth. وَنَأْكُلُ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ. We will eat on this earth. وَنَضْطَجِعُ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ, and we will sleep on this ground. وَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ يَنْقُصْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ شَيْئًا, and it will not remove our status in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the least. بَلْ يُعَذِّمُ اللَّهُ بِهِ أُجُورَنَا, in fact, Allah will elevate us. Allah will grant us greater reward if this is the kind of lifestyle. وَيَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتَنَا وَنَتَوَاضَعُ بِذَلِكَ لِدِينِنَا. He says, this is the way that we show humility in our deen. Mu'adh ibn Jabal, when Abu Ubaidullah ibn Jarrah passed away in the plague that that came on Sham, and 20,000 people died in that plague. He was one of the Sahaba who died, Abu Ubaidullah, and they were very close. So Mu'adh ibn Jabal, he made dua because he realizes my close friend who has passed away. He didn't want to run away. He says, Oh Allah, you know that the only reason why I'm continuing in this life is because I love Siyam in the hot summer days. That's the only reason why I'm still alive today. And I love the Tahajjud in the long winter nights. This is what is keeping me going. So if this is my time to go, Ya Allah, I'm ready to go. Because his friend passed away and he was like longing to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jamaatul Muslimin, this is not the easy lifestyle, but this is the manhaj that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave to this ummah. In fact, in his own home, there would be sometimes a whole entire month of 30 days where they would not eat meat. This is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I again say that we as an ummah are in the best position to handle economic exploitation, because we have nothing to lose when we protest. If people get shot and killed, we have nothing to lose because people die as shaheed. We strive for others. We look at our next life as being more important. Just to conclude, Jama'at, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, يؤتى بأنعم أهل الدنيا من أهل النار يوم القيامة فيسبغ في النار صبغة ثم يقال يا ابن آدم هل رأيت خير قط. A person would come and he was one of the wealthiest people in this life. He was one of the wealthiest people, but unfortunately he never had the good sense to give shukr to Allah. He never had the good idea to make ibadah, to thank Allah for his ni'mas. He lived a life of a fasiq. This person will come on the day of Qiyamah. He had the most wealth in this life, and he will give one little taste of the Jahannam, and it will be asked of him, هل رأيت خير قط هل مر بك نعيم قط. Did you ever experience in your life in this dunya any good? Remember, this was a wealthy person. Everything was going favor away for him. Everything went in his favor. And just by getting one single drop of the fire of Jahannam, he will not remember. He will not remember that entire life of luxury that he had. I mean, if we look at, we 60, 70 years old, how many of us can remember what happened every single moment of last year? We can't. We can't remember every single moment. Now, this is what your entire life is going to be. If you were a person who had wealth, but he didn't utilize it in the correct manner. A person who have this kind of outlook of life, he would be able to help others, because he sees the wealth as an amana. So, and then the person who had a difficult life, an extremely difficult life, but he never went to gambling. He never, when he had business, he wouldn't cheat, deceive other people. This person, who had a terrible life, he will be brought to Jannah and he will be asked, هل رأيت بؤسا قط? Do you ever remember that you had any difficulty in your life on this dunya? هل مر من شدة قط? Did you experience any difficulty in this life? And remember, this man had his entire life of difficulty. He travel every morning, maybe stand up 4 o'clock in the morning, take 2 trains to come to work. When he comes home at night, there's the sons, daughters, the family is gone to bed already. He must just have 1 hour, he must go to bed again. And, maybe he's unemployed for many parts of his life. And when he comes and is placed in Jannah, then he will not remember a single moment of hardship. This is the comparisons, Jama'ah. This is the comparisons. كان عمر رضي الله عنه أزهدنا في الدنيا. He was the person who was the most, he applied the most zuhd in his life. That is what the Sahaba praised Umar with. He was a man who was the ruler, but the day that he came for Hajj, he had 12 patches on his cloak. He didn't have a brand new cloak. He used that, he could still use that cloak. He had 12 patches on for the Khalifa of the Muslimin. So Jama'atul Muslimin, this is an quality that sometimes we only dream of. We need to put this in reality. We can enjoy our luxuries, but remember, there is a life that is worth living for, and that is the life of the Akhirah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو التواب الرحيم.